Today's the kind of day where I get to review a really cool laptop or laptop-like thing. This here is the Lenovo YogaBook 9i. It's not just a normal yoga laptop because it has dual OLED screen. You can see that there. I reviewed this laptop last year. In that case, Lenovo sent it over. I found this here for a really good price. It's basically open box. I got it off Best Buy Canada actually. And I decided, you know what? Let's review it. So this is the brand new 2024 model. You can see here it is a touchscreen, dual touchscreen laptop or tablet or book thing. Of course, it does convert into a tablet. Why would you want that? Well, it does come with a pen. So like the yoga type stuff, you can obviously turn it into a tablet, do your drawing, take your notes, whatever it is, do your graphic design with the pen that comes with it. But then you'd say, well, what can I do with this thing? It's kind of like not an actual laptop. Well, you do get features like this where you can go like that there, and you do get the built-in kind of keyboard type thing here. So you can see here that you do, you can do your typing on this thing here, right? Just like a normal laptop. You get a little digital trackpad type thing down there. So you can use like a normal laptop in a digital format, which is super cool. But then you may say, that also kind of seems like it's kind of a pain in the butt. Well, let me tell you what else you get here. You do get a mouse that comes with it. So of course you can use the mouse. You don't need to necessarily use the digital trackpad that comes with it. And you get this little traveling case here. And what do we have inside here? Well, we have a keyboard. And the cool thing about this keyboard, that was an animated thing there, that's pretty cool, is that when you slap this on the laptop here, let's go like that there. Now all of a sudden you have the digital trackpad automatically, digital trackpad there, and a physical keyboard. If you find typing on a digital keyboard weird, you can also slide that down there. It'll snap in there. Then you get a second screen down there. So if you're doing video editing, maybe you can have a timeline down there. You can have the full workflow up there. Super, super cool. The other thing you can do here is this turns into an actual stand. So you snap that in like that there. This is actually a magnetized option. All right, so that slaps on there. And basically what you do then is you set this up so you can turn it into a dual screen type setup. Something like that there. Super cool. I'm doing this on camera with like one hand basically. The other hand's kind of holding it up. Super cool. Set that up there. Dual OLED screen laptop with a physical keyboard, pen if need be, and a mouse. So you can have a massive amount of workflow. Of course, you can just convert it into this kind of mode right there and just go with your traditional kind of laptop. However, you do have a much smaller footprint. You can see that there. So you don't need to take as much room, and then you have a full setup like that. So what is this device here? It's an all-in-one. Is that what I'm going to call it? A do-everything kind of laptop. So this is a imaginative person's dream product, because rather than just being a laptop, rather than just being a tablet, rather than just being a yoga type tablet, it's all of them, right? You can use it in all these different workflows. So realistically, you would get this if you're someone who wants to be doing different types of workflow at different types of environments and in different types of input product, right? And you can switch between them basically seamlessly. Okay, so let's have an in-depth look at the laptop. You can see obviously it's a very glossy screen. You can see obviously the form factor is very unique. You have this keyboard that you can snap onto different areas of the laptop, and then you get like a digital trackpad. You can snap it on up here, and then you end up with like a second screen option down there like that. Of course, you do have your private screen. You can also take this off here, and then you have two primary screens here. You can do other things. Of course, you can set it up vertically like that and have a dual horizontal. Instead, here you can have a dual vertical screen if you're going to be reading two documents or something like that. I mean, you can fold it like that and use it as a drawing tablet. And when you do that, one of them disables, so you go back to the primary display there. So, I mean, it's a very versatile device here. I reviewed this last year with last year's specs, and I just found it to be a fascinating device. It's not going to be for everybody, obviously. It's a very, very kind of niche type unique product, but it's just a super versatile product where you get a product like this, and part of the product itself is the creativity. So you're not just buying a laptop, right? You're not just buying a tablet. You're buying something that has multiple different ways it can be used. Then you can use your creativity to potentially solve productivity or professional or workflow tasks better. So the laptop itself is relatively sleek. It's all metal, so it's not going to be super light, but we can see that there. $13.54 for just the laptop. You're probably going to go about your day with the keyboard as well. Potentially take the mouse with you, and probably take the pen with you. So the whole package is $16.98, which isn't bad for a mouse, keyboard, pen, and laptop. The actual laptop is obviously not a behemoth or anything. It's a 13-inch style laptop. Very premium though. Metal bottom, metal top, metal bottom, and then the inside, of course, is screens. So I mean, there's not really much, but you have your metal bezel there. This is their Yoga 9i series, so it's basically as premium as it possibly gets from Lenovo, and realistically on the market, this is one of the most premium devices you can get. It's obviously very unique though. Even the kind of hinges there are going to be a metal style hinge there. Maybe speaker 3, speaker 4. Very interesting design overall on this here, but it's very, very premium. The exhaust comes out the back there, so it is still like a laptop with a screen, right? Like this is the laptop part, this is the screen part. However, the difference here is that the laptop part here also has a screen itself as the top part. So you may ask yourself, why don't you just get a laptop, like a standard 13, 14-inch laptop, take that with you. You just open it up, right? You start typing, everything's kind of built in. But that's not the point of this device here. This is a super versatile device, right? If you're just looking for a laptop, you probably just buy a laptop. This one here does come with a mouse, detachable keyboard, and pen, as I mentioned there. So I mean, obviously right off the bat, there's something else going on here. Of course, it is, you can just use it as a dual touchscreen type device here. Right, so you can use it as a dual touchscreen device here. You can use the digital keyboard, whatever. Of course, then you can slap it into what I would call like laptop mode, right? So we take this out here. This is, I would consider that like laptop mode. So to say we don't have those with us, you do have a trackpad here, digital trackpad. It does have haptics. You can hear that. So it has some type of vibration motor in there. So you do get a little tactile haptic feedback, just like you would on like a Mac or something, right? Everything works just fine here. Of course, then you have a physical keyboard to type as well. Right, of course, then you can slide this down, right? Go into just that mode there. Now you've lost the key, now you've lost the trackpad, but you can still use touch if need be, or you can introduce the mouse, for example, right? Have a second screen there. Fantastic. You do have access to the pen, which you can use in this format, or, of course, this is the type of device where you can flip it over because it's a yoga. Flip that, back screen turns off, and now all of a sudden we have a device like this here. Right. Of course, you can still access the pen. You can still access this stuff over here. You don't lose that all of a sudden. So I can come in here. I can say, well, like that there. I can use digital keyboard if need be. Right. Like there's a digital keyboard there. I can use that if need be. Right. But I'll close that for a second. But you can of course then just use it as tablet mode. So if I'm just doing drawings, right. Well, it's really responsive. So you can just do it with drawings like that there. Right. Right, I can take my notes. Right. Take my notes. So if I'm taking notes for class, I can go like that. And let's see the palm rejection here. Yeah. When you first go down, you can do that, but once you bring the pen in, then it doesn't do it anymore. Right? So if I slide my hand around while I'm doing that, right, there's nothing going on there because I'm using this here. So it's perfect for that. I'm actually, that's very snap. I mean, I was going to say it's very snappy, surprisingly snappy, but it's an expensive Halo laptop from Lenovo that one of the biggest features is that it's a yoga style with a pen. So I would expect it to be incredibly snappy, but it's incredibly snappy. Like it's, yeah, it's just, I'll just put it this way. It's very, very, very snappy. And then, you can do all of your typical stuff. So left click, right click. So, you can go like this here, use right click, bring up a menu like that, left click for, drag and drop, that kind of stuff there. Looks like it's full. You can change these up, right? Like, what do you want the buttons to do? Do you want them to be raised? There's a button there apparently. Oh, bottom barrel. So up and top. So you can tell it, how you want it to use it like that, basically. Right? Tip sensitivity, all these different settings here. So you can get the Lenovo Pen app. And I find it pretty easy to type on. Right? You're going to have to get the hang of it, but let's come in here and we'll do a little typing test on this device here. So I type a little bit different when I'm typing like this, but let's do it like this first. So it's going to slow me down, as you can see, but as long as I'm not used to it, like I'm not used to typing on a full-size digital keyboard, but once you get the hang of it, I think you can be pretty quick with this thing, and the separation is good enough, and the keys are big enough that you're probably shouldn't have too many problems. Yeah, so there are some typos. So like I wouldn't take this and be like, I'm going to type up an essay, right? I wouldn't probably personally rip out, you could, but I personally wouldn't rip out an essay on this here, right? But if I just need to take notes quickly in a meeting, just type up some stuff. If I was like just doing something on the side, this would be totally fine. But I mean, now I have a real keyboard, right? So. And then the keyboard itself is a fantastic keyboard. This is very similar to some of the other laptops I'm using. Like I have a Lenovo ThinkPad over here, which has a similar keyboard. It's not the same, but similar. This is going to be the same keyboard that's on the actual yoga laptops rather than these like kind of book style ones, right? I could move this way, just put it into like single screen mode just for basic, like, you know, I'm just in class or something. I don't need the most complicated thing in the world. This is a magnetized. See that? Super cool. Magnetized, right? Bring in my mouse here, and now I'm just in class, or I'm on a train, or I'm in a coffee shop, just typing up an essay. This is the more basic setup, and you don't have all this like runway. On a normal laptop, you have all this runway, right? So if you're on a plane, for example, planes don't have a lot of room, right? So you basically set this up here. The footprint is not overly massive. The keyboard is actually closer to you, right? And you have a pretty nice typing experience here, pretty nice setup here. But the other cool thing you can do here is go like this and just get a massive amount of screen in front of you, right? So here, all of a sudden, I'm just like swimming in screens. Maybe you're taking some notes over here, you know, drawing something like that, doing that there. Or maybe, you know, you're not using it with the pen at all. You just have some document that you're reading off of here, or maybe a website or something like that, right? So you're reading off of a full page over here on your left. Let's go like that there. And then over here, I'm, you know, working on something, typing that. I have some type of document that I'm scrolling over here. The Yoga 9i. I'm doing some research on the Yoga 9i. Right, you get full length page here, which is really nice. Apparently this is an old one. Right, so you have full page over here. I can read through this full page here on the document. I can be typing over here. I don't have to be limited to basically, you know, like tiny little side-by-side things. If I'm on, you know, the standard horizontal, where I have a little cube here and a little cube here, and that's all I have. All of a sudden I have full page documentation over here, writing over here, and, you know, maybe I like to have something down here because that's my style, and I have like a YouTube video down here or something like that. So let's look at the screens here. So you can see here the very high resolution, 1800p, which is quite high resolution for a smaller style laptop. They're not going to be the highest refresh rate. You can see that 60 hertz, but what you do have here is two OLED screens, both high resolution, and on top of that, they have very good color space. So if you're doing, you know, graphic design type work, that type of creative work, obviously these screens are going to be fantastic. You can just see here just how incredibly vibrant it is. It's a beautiful screen. So I guess they like could improve the screen by making it 120 hertz on both of them, but the disadvantage of that is it'd kill your battery, right? Because you'd have then two 120 hertz OLED screens you're working with, whereas here, I mean, you're not really going to have that issue, right? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I could just watch this. It's such a nice screen, like legitimately such a nice screen. So let's just kill that out there. So I mean, obviously, it's not shocking. One of the selling points of this is just how beautiful the screens are. Okay, so I do recommend watching your headphones. If this is like last year, the audio is going to be incredibly good, but also potentially loud. So we'll come in here. Yeah, it's going to get really loud. Yeah, so rock solid 10 out of 10, S plus tier speakers. The Yoga 9i series from Lenovo, whichever it is, the laptop, the YogaBook, or the, you know, just the standard Yoga 9i, incredible speakers. I mean, they're really about as good as you're going to find in a Windows laptop. Tons of low-end bass, which always does shock me in such a thin little laptop. The amount of low-end bass that they have, that whole track there is good, but it's clear through the whole thing. So having incredibly good speakers on a laptop like this, if you do something like music creation or just general creativity work, it is quite nice to have really nice speakers. However, some people just like to have really good speakers on laptops. I'm one of them, and these are outstanding. Next thing I want to do here is just check the Cinebench noise. Again, this is not the most behemoth iteration of this chip here. Now, it is a capable chip, 155U. However, it's a super thin and light laptop. It's actually a tablet, so I mean, you have to be reasonable with what you're going to expect of the scores here. We're not going to be getting some incredibly outstanding scores here. Realistically, this identical system apparently gets 6800, but let's just see what we can do here. Again, we're going to be very thermally constrained in a chassis like this, right? So let's check the wattages while this thing runs on the chip. So it's actually, it's interesting. It is actually pulling 28 watts on that CPU. That's pretty impressive for such a thin little thing. It's not going to sit there yet. It's going to probably sit around 2025. The thermals are pretty good too, considering, I mean, it's not going to, again, it's not going to be dumping maximum watts into this system here. Technically, this chip could add more watts. If it needed to, it could add more watts there. There are fans, but they are absurdly quiet. Okay, and here are some benchmark results. You can see here that the Cinebench score, again, not staggering. You're going to get around 6,800, 7,000 on this laptop. Again, very, very thin laptop, not a behemoth by any means, just a 155U, not a 155H, so lower wattage. Then you can see here that the Wi-Fi speeds are good, around 600 megabytes a second or so. That's about as fast as my Wi-Fi can go. Storage inside is also quite good, SN740. That's a very, very good Western Digital drive, Gen 4, and you get about 4,000, 5,000 megabytes a second. Very good. And you can see here that we're getting pretty good battery life. It's actually going to give us about a draining of about -8 to -10, somewhere around there. So that's going to give us probably about 8 to 10 hours. So very good. Then with two screens going at one time, so full OLED on both of them there. Of course, I'm doing this at full brightness. I always do that. We're burning between 10 and 11 or 12 watts. So we're going to lose probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half at most. So you're still going to probably get around 8 hours on this laptop. So realistically, this thing should last you a full workday regardless if you're just kind of hanging out doing some low impact tasks, YouTube, browsing and that. If you're doing some heavy tasks, of course, it will drain the battery quicker. Now, I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to think that this YogaBook 2-in-1 is within a mile of being a gaming laptop. But, that being said, you can play games. I loaded up Baldur's Gate because this is the iGPU killer, meaning it slams the CPU and the GPU, and it needs watts. It's not going to like 16 watts, but I just want to see what we can do. So I just throw it on half resolution so we can get some native integer scaling there, which should be fine. And then you can see that 900p, which is fine, just slightly below 1080p. Just throw it on low with some scaling. And yeah, it's going to be like around 30. You're going to get dips in that too. But again, this is a turn-based game, so I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? This is kind of like, I didn't think this was going to work at all, to be honest. I thought it was just going to be like 15 FPS or something. But yeah, you can play this game at 30 FPS. Lots of console games still run at 30 FPS. So... But Tech Guy Bo, it doesn't play Starfield at 4K on Ultra at 790 FPS with ray tracing. Therefore, it can't play games. And what do I say to that? Well, that's how you play games. It can play games like Baldur's Gate, which is very demanding at low settings, which means realistically that you can play thousands, and actually not thousands, hundreds of thousands of games on this little tablet thing here. You can play modern games that are AAA from probably 2020 and before at very good settings realistically. And then of course you have modern games as well that are not going to be considered, 3D super demanding games like this here, that these games win Game of the Year and they win this and that, and they're incredible experiences and they run at full speed on something like this, like truly full speed, right? So can you play games on something like this? Yes, you can play hundreds of thousands of games, older games obviously, and less demanding games like this here, they're brand new, you can play perfectly. Yeah, and playing a game like this that's so vibrant and, kind of universally praised for being a beautiful game, it looks outstanding on this OLED screen here. So what do I think about the YogaBook? It's a Yoga, so it's super, 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 super premium, all metal design, incredibly good audio, incredibly good screens, plural, right? Because you get two OLED screens, really, really nice. Build quality, design is all fantastic. The performance is good for what it is. I mean, you have a Core Ultra CPU in this incredibly thin little thing here, almost like a a tablet more than it is a laptop. But realistically, I think the coolest part of this is the fact that it's such a hybrid device. You do get access to a pen. It's touchscreen, but you also get access to a pen. You get access to the mouse and keyboard, which are detachable. You can set it up on this little stand type thing here and get access to like your dual screen type format when you set it up. I mean, you have all these options, like you can snap this thing on if need be, right? You want to use it like that? Oh, no, I want to use it like that. Super cool device here. Not going to be for everybody, but I think that people who would look at this video and say, that's a cool device, it's something that I could potentially benefit from, those type of people would probably really like this product here. So cool one from Lenovo. I got it for a pretty good price, so I'm pretty happy with it. Check out the links below in the video description. I'll put some affiliate links through there through Impact. They're not through Lenovo or anything like that, but those do help me out with my channel because I buy the vast majority of the laptops that I review on my channel. So it really does help me out quite a bit. So yeah, stick around for more reviews, but this is a really cool one. I'm happy with it. And if this is something that you'd be interested in, I think you'll be pretty happy with it.